right. Good afternoon and welcome to our virtual table. Today we're going to discuss about the power of commerce to uplift underserved communities. And I would like to welcome our speakers, Lauren McCann, co-founder and a CEO of Procure Impact, and Nadia Krenian, CEO at Forte Digital, Executive Chair and CEO at the Forte Group. And I'm your host, Alex Kolesnichenko, CTO at Forte Digital. For today's discussion, we have aligned a couple topics. So I'd like to start highlighting what we're going to talk about, and then have opportunity to Nadia and Lauren kind of introduce themselves and talk about companies. So I'd like to discuss Procure Impact business model, creating social impact through commerce, talk about female leadership journeys and challenges, as well as collaboration with Forte Digital and future inspirations. So I'd like to give this floor to Laura McCann to introduce herself. Thank you.
Happy to, and thank you for having me. It's always good to be with you both. Lauren McCann, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Procure Impact, and we are a B2B marketplace that exclusively sells products that are made by people with barriers to work. We operate much like an Etsy or an Amazon, but we only work with suppliers that are actually creating employment opportunities for people who are eager to get access, but have all these latent skills and talents, but don't often have the market access. And so our products are made by resettled refugees, by veterans, by individuals with disabilities, and by people who've experienced a barrier like incarceration, addiction, or homelessness. And we sell over 3,000 products across high demand categories between food and beverage, bath and body, furniture, art, jewelry, handbags, you name it. And every purchase is uplifting people through the dignity of work.
That's amazing. Thank you, Lauren. Nadia?
Hi, everyone. So you probably all know Alex. He was at the roundtable before, and I joined him a few times. I'm Nadia Krenian. I'm the CEO of Forte Digital, and Forte Digital is one of the biggest B2B commerce implementation partners. We help businesses go digital. That's the best description. We help customers with their digital needs. We transform their day-to-day into becoming more enabled companies.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd like to thank you for Laura and Nadia for taking the time today out of your busy schedule to join this roundtable discussion. So I'd like to talk about Procure Impact business model. So Lauren, Procure Impact has such a powerful mission. Could you share with us the story behind its founding? What's inspired you to create such a marketplace and drive social impact?
Yeah, I previously was in philanthropy. I was running a really large fund focused on poverty in the US. And one of the most impactful ways to help somebody out of poverty is through a job. And there are a number of workforce development programs that are teaching people hard skills and soft skills and helping them find long-term employment all over the United States. And many of these workforce programs actually operate enterprises and manufacture products to give people tangible job experience. And I would travel all over the country and see these amazing enterprises and products, and they were selling them to conscious consumers like me, mainly during holiday gift season. But they weren't thinking about B2B purchases in corporate America. They didn't have the networks. They didn't have the expertise to figure out how to get into Target or to Walmart or to airports. And I just realized there was this huge opportunity to unleash their impact by connecting them to corporate buyers that were looking for ways to align their purchasing power and social impact. I then had a personal experience that really made me leap to become an entrepreneur. I have a brother who at one point was actually homeless and a missing person because of chronic mental health issues. And he's an artist. He's a gifted writer, an artist, a creative, and he was discovered for his art at one of the worst times of his life by an enterprise that represents artists with disabilities and artists who've been unhoused. And big companies like Amazon and Pfizer started buying his art. And those purchases totally changed his life. He's now married, employed, and living independently and doing exceptionally well. He's in recovery, he's supporting others. And all of that happened because of purchases that enabled him to see his life and his potential differently. So I realized when I saw that happen with my brother, that this could be scaled. It's just companies need to know that these amazing enterprises that are employing people like my brother, they need to know that they exist. They need to be able to find these products easily. They need to shop in an easy way to be able to meet their core business needs. And nothing like that existed in the market. So I kind of did this big leap from philanthropy to run a tech company and build a marketplace because I saw the inherent power in commerce. And if we just shifted a percentage of some of these big companies' purchasing power towards enterprises that were helping people like my brother, we could impact millions of lives.
So absolutely, thank you for sharing the story. I mean, from Procure Impact, you guys have such a diverse range of products. What's your favorite item? You always bring smile to your face.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many, but I'm gonna have to anchor to one because I was just there this morning. There's an amazing company called Cameron's Chocolates, Cameron's Coffee and Chocolates. And Cameron is this amazing woman who has tons of talents. And her mother, Ellen, when she graduated from school, was not happy with the status quo of the job opportunities available for Cameron. And Cameron has a disability. So Ellen started Cameron's Chocolates because Cameron loved to bake. And that talent was abundant, and she just couldn't find opportunities in the traditional job market. Fast forward 10 years plus, they now employ 30 individuals with disabilities across a wide spectrum from blindness to Down syndrome to autism, and they're making the best truffles. And this morning, it's not something you usually eat for breakfast, but I was there this morning with some of our team members and investors and was able to sample a bunch of truffles that they had made and to see the joy that they get from making these extraordinary chocolates. And we now have them in 90 plus hotels across the country because they purchase them through our platform. We're creating job opportunities and more demand for this enterprise that this mother started because she was just looking for opportunities for her daughter.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're gonna post that link to that. Well, we can post the link to that product, but definitely will explore that company. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lauren. Nadia, I'd like to hear your perspective as well. How important do you think is for businesses today to integrate social responsibilities into their core operations?
From my perspective, I think it's one of the most important things currently for businesses that are growing, that are successful, because it can help enhance their values. We all see our values are on the website, right? But actions speak louder than words quite often. So by supporting and by providing your employees a platform that makes it easy for them to pick and choose the cause that they or values that they would like to support, you can quantify it and say, you know what, our employees actually support these values, these causes. From this comes a little bit more connectiveness between employees and the company, I think. And also it brings morale of the whole business up usually. So I do think it's extremely important for businesses to be part of this kind of journey. And it can be extremely helpful and quantifiable. The most important, I'm a numbers person, so I think you can definitely, see the value in that in numbers. And I do believe that we all are made for good, and I do believe that we all want to be part of something bigger, something good. So by helping employees and companies to be part of this good cause, of this bigger impact, you create better retention, you create this goodness in the company as well, and create sense of belonging as well. So I do think it's a great way to create better culture, solidify the values, and much more, just from top of my mind.
Yeah, completely agree, 100%. All right, let me ask you, about creating social impact through commerce itself. So, Lauren, I heard this terminology, impact hours.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure what it is, so I would like to ask you, I know it now, but at the beginning I was like, what that really represents.
Mhm.
So I'd like to ask you, how does this feature enhance, engagement with Procure Impact mission, and how does it resonate with buyers and vendors?
Yes. Yes. Impact measurement's very hard for a lot of companies to do. And so you have a lot of big corporations who've made big proclamations around how they want to create social change and impact, but then they often have a difficult time measuring impact and reporting on that progress. And so we realized we had a competitive advantage. Every single one of our suppliers is employing individuals with barriers to work. So every purchase is creating shift hours for those individuals who are making those products. And when we do our diligence on our vendors, our suppliers, we ask them about their wage data and their cost to manufacture the good. And we realized we could pull that into an actual calculation. So when you're shopping in the Procure Impact marketplace and you're building your cart and you're pulling in the quantities you want, at the very top, there's a calculation that actually shows you how many hours of work you're creating through the purchase that you're about to make. And this idea of like an impact receipt became a big part of what we built in that customer experience, because we can actually quantify through the products that you're purchasing the hours of work you're creating for each of the vendors on our platform. And that became a huge opportunity for us to galvanize big corporations towards goals. So just this week, we announced a major milestone. So about earlier this year in February, we launched a major campaign called the Dignity of Work Pledge. And the goal was, could we get the hospitality sector, which is a big sector we work with that purchases a lot of things, 120 billion every year in purchases in the US, could we get them to shift a percentage of their purchase to our platform through an impact goal? So the big goal was, could we create 100,000 hours of work through purchases on our platform? And again, we can quantify it to the purchase. We can show our companies that purchase from us who's purchasing, what they're purchasing, the impact areas and the populations that they're impacting and the communities they're impacting. And this was a big, bold goal. And in just 8 months, we got 23 companies to commit to goals that equate to over 100,000 hours of work and over 7.3 million in revenue that they've pledged through our platform. So I think that metric really grounds people in like every purchase matters. Like even if it's just one SKU in the mini bar, it seems like such a small thing. But if you have 3,000 rooms in a hotel in Vegas, that's actually quite a lot of revenue that will provide that stability for our suppliers and enable them to create more jobs. So we've been able to get 23 hospitality companies to actually put us in their goals and objectives and make those revenue and impact goal commitments to working with us. And we provide impact reporting monthly to all of our companies where they can see that breakdown of their spend. And it's become a bit of a competition. Like we have a couple of companies where some general managers are like vying for number one in terms of their spend with their impact hours. So that was the innovation that I think we helped companies measure their impact of each transaction.
Well, that's awesome. Amazing. Are there any standout success stories or impact stories from the community's Procure Impact supports that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, impact is happening every day because we're creating job opportunities. So at Cameron's, where I was this morning, they actually hired 3 people this summer to keep up with demand from our marketplace. And they have 50 people on a wait list. So those are people that were pulled from a wait list that wouldn't otherwise be working, that are now working because of the purchases that are made on the marketplace. We're releasing a video, I think next week, where it describes the story of a man named Dylan, who was bagging groceries, at a grocery store before. And he just said to his supervisor, like, I want to learn. I want to do more. And he was really hitting a ceiling in where he was. Now he's working for one of our vendors called Prospector Popcorn. And he's doing work in events and HR. He's also making the popcorn, but he's stretched and grown so much. That's really what we're providing people, is that like pathway that helps them realize their potential. Every purchase is tied to a story like that. There's so many stories like that, but Dylan's story really struck me. It's like he wanted to learn and grow, and he was hitting a ceiling, and these types of employment opportunities help them stretch.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Well, social procurement is becoming increasingly important as business rethinks their role in society. And Nadi, maybe a question for you is, how do you see the shifts in your work with Forte Digital?
So I do believe that technology is just a tool. It's a behind-the-scenes machine that can make things either really difficult or really seamless. So with Lauren's story, she makes it frictionless for businesses to participate in a cause via social procurement. And we all are victims of, I want it now, I want it fast, I don't want to think about it, right? So I think it's important for companies like Forte Digital to become a partner with companies like Lawrence that create that social impact on a bigger scale. And they are technology behind the scenes that creates that frictionless experience for end customer, that where if they click, it checks out, if that experience is seamless. So seamlessness is extremely important. Whether we will be collaborating as Forte Digital with women-owned businesses or promoting supplier diversity, or any digital solution that contributes to social impact. I think by working with these companies like Lawrence, especially Procure Impact, it helps creating not just business outcomes, right? Not just the revenue, not just a job for this particular employee, but much bigger measurable benefits for the whole society. And that's what's important. A frictionless experience for end customer and bigger impact on society. So that's what after hearing Lauren's story, I have to make a round table about it and talk about those experiences and make it a bigger story for everybody.
No, and I completely align with that too, because initially when we discussed with the Salesforce team, is when they shared the use case with us and said, hey, there is this opportunity, this company would like to build a marketplace. So it was like, oh, okay, just a marketplace. But then when they actually shared the whole story, is that the impact it will create for communities, for people. I was like, man, I want to do this, right? I don't care, how much it will cost me personally, my time and everything. Just I was blown away and still getting goosebumps. But no, thank you for that. Well, I mean, so let's talk about female leadership journey, right, and challenges. Lauren, as a leader of Procure Impact, you were shaping how companies view commerce and social responsibility, right? What leadership challenges have you faced, and how have you navigated them to drive the change?
Yeah, I think one of the main things is people hear what we do and they question, like, is this a nonprofit or a for-profit? Because my passion is just like I can't stop. It's just who I am, and it's so integral to my story and my experience. And we're only profitable if we're impactful, and we're only impactful if we're profitable. Like the profit kind of has to drive the impact, and so I think sometimes there's a misconception around a business with a mission and the leverage of the market and what's possible. And we're challenging perceptions about what business can do through the model that we've built. I think also just I was an intrapreneur, like I was someone who was a builder within big organizations. And I hadn't realized personally that I had the skills to be an entrepreneur. It took me a long time to make that leap, maybe with a bit of like imposter syndrome or confidence challenges. But I realized that some of the greatest CEOs I'd ever worked for, when I got close to them, the only thing that set them apart from me and them was that they were in their arena, that they had actually taken the leap, and that they were solving one problem at a time, one step at a time. And I was about to take a safe job before I became an entrepreneur, doing something like I'd done before in another philanthropy. And one of my friends said to me, if you don't build your dream, someone's going to hire you to build theirs. And I realized, like, I'd been building other people's dreams for a very long time. And I think sometimes women second guess that potential leap or that opportunity. I was certainly looking at safety, and I have children, and I was thinking, oh yeah, when my kids go to college, maybe I'll do this. But it's been so invigorating as a woman leader who is surrounded by all these women leaders. We have 2 co-founders who are women, to act as a platform for people to realize their potential and to grow and to build alongside of me. So I'm so grateful that I had mentors and folks around me that really pushed me to make that leap into entrepreneurship, so I can help others realize that innate gift that they have too.
Absolutely. Nadia, I mean, you had similar path, running fast-growing tech company and constantly pushing boundaries. What have been some of the most rewarding and challenging aspects of the leadership women-owned tech business?
Sure. So for me personally, I like to see things grow. I like to see companies grow and change. I like people to see grow and change. It's really rewarding to see once Lauren will launch after New Year's, right? It will be probably a huge leap for her. and other our customers, when they make this change and they become a digital company, they are traditional processes that they were doing become digitized. They become bigger, they become stronger. To see that change, I think, is usually really rewarding, especially if they share that with us when they talk, oh my God, this was such a great decision to do that, right? So that brings me warmness personally when this change happens to the customers. For people, I've been always working with people since I was a teenager, hiring a lot of people, working with people, growing people, pushing them constantly to do better for themselves. So for me to see when our employees learn something more, when they learn additional cloud or get more certifications, or they find out something that I don't know and share that with us, that's always rewarding as well. On the flip side, what's the most challenging part probably is communicating that before you get to know us, right? So I figured out a long time ago that selling products and showing this is what you get, this is the package you get, is much easier than selling perspective of how easy and how better you're going to be when you're selling digital transformation. Right? Before, I was talking before with Lauren, and she's like, I had some experiences. I was not sure how it's going to happen, how it's going to be, right? So for us to change that perspective, sometimes when people had bad experience with somebody else, is difficult. To educate someone who didn't have prior experience with technology company, and that helps them be better, be more of a digital platform for transactions, is difficult. So I think it's one of the biggest challenges, because that trust is not built from one conversation. Usually, it's built over time. So I think it's really challenging for us to do that. But at the same time, once again, it's really rewarding to see when recently one of the companies pretty much used us for managed services and told, "Oh my God, guys! I didn't think that things that people were telling me we were able to do it in 6 days, and somebody was telling me 6 months." Right? So this kind of stories always inspire me and make me like, no, we can build that trust. We can talk about that success stories to other customers, and they can be believers as well that it's possible to do that transformation.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. All right. Well, so let's talk about collaboration for the digital. Lauren, from Procure Impact, collaboration for the digital. First of all, what motivated Procure Impact to migrate your marketplace to Salesforce Commerce? And can you share some learnings, some memorable experiences from your partnership with For the Digital during the whole project?
Yeah, I think we realized pretty early on we have a complex customer. So we are primarily working in the hospitality sector. Decision makers are across multiple different entities. You have owners and management companies and brands, and we realized in order to serve our customer, we have customers that buy retail products, customers that buy food. We really needed to sync our e-commerce, our marketing, and CRM data in a way that would best help us create archetypes to serve our customer in the highest levels possible. So the more we understood about our customer, the more we could serve them the products they needed. And that seamless integration, like one customer, one platform, one set of data, rather than fragmented data or trying to translate between systems, was something that we thought would be the most scalable option, because we started to see the opportunity set in the sectors we were going after, and we needed a platform that could really help scale us and meet the scale demands of the future. So rather than piecemealing things, we're going to build infrastructure that speaks to itself at its core and isn't fragmented. So that was part of the adjudication when we were thinking about Salesforce. And Nadia kind of alluded to this. So, we built our beta, and we built it with some really great engineers, but there were some pitfalls in the actual project management and communication, a lot of trust breakdown. And as a non-technical founder, that's terrifying. I felt like I was throwing money at a problem and then hoping and praying, right, that it was going to be delivered and that we were going to meet the customer's needs. And we started to get traction in customers. And if the product wasn't at the level that would keep them, we could easily have folded as a company. And the good news is the engineering side was good. The project management and the experience wasn't awesome. So I had a little bit of PTSD coming into this build. And so, our head of engineering, Devin, would tell you the decision-making process took me a while because I was like, okay, I like vetting who we were going to go with. And we just felt very comfortable with the level of communication and transparency at the start with Forte. And you kind of blew us away when we started working on the project together. There was like very much seamless integration with our team, a strong investment up front on discovery. So we pulled in the right people who had the right knowledge to really help us outline what we needed out of this build. And there was a lot of things in our beta that looked good from a customer standpoint, but a lot of like operational strain on our team to make things look good for the customer. So we were looking for some pretty substantial improvements in terms of our operational efficiency and the customer experience and account management, some pretty big deal items. And we just felt like pretty immediately that we had thought partners that were incredibly good at communicating, and retorting back what they heard and making sure we were aligned around the needs and the ways in which we could build to meet those needs. So I have to say, like, I felt like all of a sudden we gained like 15 people on our team with the expertise we needed to tackle this big project at the time we're scaling, and building in more customers and more complexity to our business. And so we are thrilled that we're launching this V2 of our platform in January. And it's at the time when we have some big announcements that are about to happen in Q4. So the timing of intentionally building with your team at the time when these unlocks are happening, it's serendipitous, sort of like how we got here. And we're so lucky we found you guys.
No, I appreciate the feedback on. I mean, honestly, we have a great team. They do a great job on all the projects. But when we talk about this particular implementation, I can tell that everybody was like blown away. Like, yes, we want to do it. So I think that they had more passion towards this project than others, honestly. But yeah, thank you for your feedback. Nadia, what's your perspective on the value of collaboration between Forte Digital and Procure Impact, and how do you think those partnerships help drive innovation and social good?
I do believe, as I mentioned before, this partnership is powerful because it shows how technology can fuel social impact. And it's not just technology, it's collaboration, it's the passion, it's perseverance, because Lauren works every day on it. She had to pull a lot of people to be part of the initial discovery, right? So this shows that once people work together, they can achieve great things. And I do think that through the new platform, Procure Impact can now connect socially responsible businesses with buyers who can share their values more efficiently, more buyers more efficiently, faster, etc. I think it's a perfect blend of cause and commerce when technology becomes enabler to real world social change. And ultimately, this kind of collaborations create ripple effect. You know that you do good, and you know that you're impacting, if not directly, but you're changing somebody's life at the end of the day. That creates a lot of goodwill. That creates a lot of good karma, and I believe in it. So I do think that partnerships like this is the future of business, where profit and purpose are intertwined together, because you make it easy, right? You make it easy for buyers. For me personally, as a business owner, I want to give a tool to my marketing, to my car, where they can, for Christmas or for other client holidays or for other events, make presents with the purpose. And we every year, I think every single year, everyone sits down like, what are we going to do this year? Well, I know for sure what we're going to do this year. We're going to work with Procure Impact, but previous years, it's always like, well, we want to support this cause. We want to support this cause. Everyone has a cause that they want to support, but there is no one kind of platform that would allow them to fulfill their inner need to support that. Now, I think through this platform, there's going to be, after January, and before January, it's going to be beta, the way to support what they feel internally is important for them. Because at the end of the day, I think it's important for people to do that. and give them all of the tools available.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nadia. Well, talking about technology, let's talk about the future inspirations. Looking ahead, the future of digital commerce, it just seems to be, it evolves faster than ever. Every day, something new, right? With even more potential for social impact. So, Lauren, what are your hopes for Procure Impact over the next few years? And how do you see it continuing to empower overlooked communities?
We really think the sky's the limit. We just made a big announcement when we hit this goal. We're like, okay, that was the first milestone. Let's keep going. And so we announced that the new goal for the Dignity of Work Pledge is 1 million hours by 2030 through purchases on our platform, which should be over 70 million in purchases. So that's millions and millions of dollars going into the hands of overlooked and underestimated communities. And we want to make it easier for them to say yes. And our products are extremely high quality and their products are already buying. So why not create impact and have a differentiated experience that tells a story to your customers and your employees, et cetera. So we have a superior product to the things that are out there. I always joke like our cake pop's going to be better than the other cake pop because a veteran made it, right? So it helps people realize small intentional actions make a big difference. So we have pretty high sights in terms of like the opportunity set. And then what I would say in terms of digital commerce, we want to make it easy. So right now, some of the things we're thinking about are integrations with pay to procure software platforms. We have a lot of global purchasing organizations that want to help integrate and make it more seamless to both pay and be invoiced for the products that they purchase from us, but also make more eyeballs, on these products and get them to buy more things. So we have to think about how can our platform integrate with native systems that procurement teams are using to just, again, make it seamless for them so they purchase more. So we're starting to think through that. We're also thinking through what every tech company is thinking through is like how to use AI. But we when you think about curation for products, how do you better identify product needs by getting really good at customer archetypes and serving up the products that we know that they're going to want to purchase, and also customization of products. So if you want to customize a candle, you can create visualization through AI to show people what's possible about some of the custom options. So I think there's just a lot that we're learning, and e-commerce is evolving right now with all this new technology, and we want to seize that opportunity so we can impact even more people.
Absolutely, and perhaps we should talk about Agent Force next when we have chance, because what's coming from Salesforce, it's just mind blowing technology and innovation. So that definitely will hit that AI capability of customization and personal experience in your marketplace. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. Nadia, from your perspective, what excites you the most about future of digital commerce and how it continue to bridge the gap between business growth and social responsibility?
Right. And so AI, obviously, everyone is talking about it, but actual implementations I'm still to see a lot of, implementations that are impactful. So probably, actually taking a leap of faith and doing it. Some companies have to do that. So that should hopefully happen soon. Some of them started, but there are a lot of POCs, a lot of work that is done on that area, but nothing that, from my at least experience, that I've seen that scaled tremendously yet. So that's probably is going to be in the near future. But scalability, right? And scalability with the new tools, with the new technology. I think that scalability of impact, that's what should be helpful as well. With the right digital tools, businesses can connect buyers and align with their ethical values to promote social responsibility and engage more customers and scale that way. And I think there is still a gap between not all of the businesses understand what is the social responsibility, and not all of the businesses make it easy for, including us, we were not making it easy for our employees or for the company to make that choice, right? So closing that gap with the technology, I think with commerce is one of the major things. I think make it easier, seamless, faster, with less, I would say, decision making, right? Because we all want an impact, we want power, to make that decision, but not for a long time, right? We all want to click and make sure that we see that impact, and that's what I think is also important for commerce, to be part of that process, visibly and not visibly at the same time, where people can, okay, I know that I did good, but I didn't spend a whole day making that decision, right?
Got it. Thank you, Nadia. All right. So I think that's kind of all the topics we had aligned today. But I'd like to review some of the questions we received from our audiences to make sure we can answer them as well. So let me just pull the questions here. All right. So a couple questions for Lauren. Lauren, any tips on convincing corporate buyers to commit to long-term social impact partnership?
I think one of the things I would say to start with is just aligning with companies that already have vision and values alignment at the core. You're not going to convince companies where this isn't in their ethos to engage meaningfully in social impact. There's unfortunately, a lot of box checking and a lot of talk and not a lot of action. And when you start engaging with companies who are serious about impact, you can tell a difference in the culture of the company and how they think about innovation. So as an example, we've talked to a number of different brands and a number of different global purchasing organizations. And if they're willing to think outside the box versus slot you into how they do business and the contracts and the constructs of every partnership, that allows you to sort of differentiate yourself. And so good with GPOs, there's often a lot of rebates or discounts or ways that they're trying to squeeze supply chain. We've walked away from those partnerships. We just said, like, that's not our business model. We're not going to hurt our suppliers. Like, at the end of the day, that's the impact we're trying to create. You have to think about us differently than just your typical supplier. And that seemed hard at the beginning as we're a little company, and that could provide big access, but we stuck to our guns and we've said no to a lot of things, which then left the window and the door open for the right partners to walk through that our vision and values align and that understand the broader picture of what's possible and are willing to make concessions or commitments that are outside of the box. So I would say don't compromise and really choose your partners wisely versus try to slot into partners that are going to be antithetical to your impact.
Thank you, Lauren. One more question for you. Let me read it out. For small social businesses with limited funding, what is your advice for scaling up fast without losing focus on the mission?
Yeah, I think this is a similar answer in that, piloting and really finding the right sector to go after or the right company archetype, I think is critical. So anyone could purchase from us, Procure Impact. We have 3,000 products across all these different categories. So if you have an office space or if you want to do corporate gifting, you can buy from us. But we made a very concerted decision to focus on hospitality. And the reason for that was we wanted to understand that customer first. So it was a land expand strategy versus a try to boil the ocean strategy. And I think sometimes because our model is applicable to lots of industries, that seems like the bigger picture opportunity, but it actually was making us spread too thin and not focused enough on how to unlock with this very ripe opportunity in front of us. So I would say focus, pilot, and maybe really target that core customer that you think has the maximum ROI for you, rather than think about all the different applications you might be able to provide.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lauren. Question for Nadia and myself. Does For the Digital provide any options or programs to help social enterprises that do not have budget for full-scale digital transformation? Nadia, you want to take this one first, and I can fill the
You
gaps.
can build up on whatever I say, probably as well. So I will build up on Lauren's answer. We do not have per se programs dedicated to that yet, but you do have to have at least some budget allocated, at least in human capital, as we discussed with Lauren, where they have to dedicate their time to make that transformation. As for the money, we do have starter packs that are usually helpful for businesses if they don't have complexity, if they want just to trial if it's going to work for them, if the digital transformation is something that they would want to invest in the future. Unfortunately, without any budget, it's really difficult for businesses to access, any business actually, right? But you can definitely make much smaller investment initially and see if it's going to work for you, because once again, sometimes it doesn't, and there is nothing wrong with that, right? It just there you have to wait up for the budget to free up. You have to wait for another year or 6 months, but you can definitely make an investment on a small scale and say like, look, I have proof of concept, and I can definitely make it better. I can make it faster. I can make it seamless, and go to your boss, to the C level, to make sure that you get the budget eventually. Alex?
No, I mean, from my side, I'm gonna add that perhaps not the exact same program that you may think be available to support that initiatives, right, for the full scale digital transformation. But it's all about timing, right? So you can take, phase approach, right? Benefit from our perhaps accelerators, right? We do have accelerators to support Salesforce platform, all different clouds that will be impactful to start that model, right? To start this full scale transformation on the Salesforce platform, that will, go further away once it's ready. But what I was saying before is basically it's a phase approach, right? We can structure the managed service, for example, our team to support this particular full-scale digital transformation and work with the client and partner up with the client basically to build a solution as needed. Right, one more question. How can social business get most out of Salesforce Commerce Cloud without overstretching their resources? It's timing, right? So, I mean, there's always need and will require for customer or client to work with the Salesforce partner to implement the Salesforce Cloud, right? Commerce Cloud. It will require your time, so your commitment basically, and good project plan in place, because partners can take specific time to build the solution and they can manage it the way it's needed to support business as well, right? So if let's say marketing team not available, they're running campaign, they're not going to be available for 2 months. There's work around that, right? There's a priorities and deliverables, not necessarily impactful for the marketing team, could be different teams as well. So it all depends on having a good partner with a good plan, a strategy, as well as the planning and implementation itself. Nadia, want to add anything there?
Sure. So I do believe in partnership, and I think one of the reasons why this was successful because Lauren allocated a lot of people and a lot of time into making sure that they iron out their business processes, know exactly what they want, and that's really important, right? Because once again, we are the technology partner. We are not your business consulting partner. I do believe that sometimes customers mix up that, like, what do you think? And we're like, well, you know your business best, right? We can suggest as a partner what are the best practices from the technology standpoint, what you should not do from the standpoint of Commerce Cloud, why you should not change certain things, what would be the best, ABCD from the from that standpoint. But we will never suggest that what you're doing business wise is better because we think that way, because you know your business best. And I think without partnering, it's really difficult sometimes, I think, for technology partner just to figure it out, right? Imagine if you're doing the same project in your house and you have a builder coming in and you're telling him, like, how do you want the tile to be put in? Well, just figure it out, right? They will put it whatever is popular on the market, but you might not be happy about that. It's a real simple example, but it is, right? So that's what I think personally. I think partnership is extremely important. A level of it depends on how much time you have, how much your team has, and how much of decision making you want to participate in as well, and outcome ultimately want to receive.
And can I add from our perspective too? I think one thing that Forte did really well was elevating where we had gaps in making decisions and getting to resolution quickly, because we hadn't thought through all the implications before we started the project, but we spent that upfront time on discovery, which then forced us as a team to make calls, which then helped reduce costs long term. because I think a lot of people probably do a lot of undoing at the end, which then is very costly because they haven't had those hard conversations early. And your team helped us like identify where we might not have alignment and make a decision and set a deadline around it, which then forced really good discussion internally during that discovery process.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Nadia. I think that wraps up with the questions. And if or miss anybody questions, please reach out to us on the LinkedIn or send us email. We'll definitely schedule a follow-up call with you guys to answer the questions as needed. Just to summarize, I mean, I'm super excited about the launch in January. Looking forward to that. I mean, there's a lot of features and functionalities impactful for the solution. Not only solution, but it will impact the communities and the growth of it. And I encourage people to go check it out, see what it's all about. Go to Pickering Impact website. It's amazing, guys. You guys need to see it and see what the product quality and how everything gonna work. And just would like to thank thank you, Lauren, thank you, Nadia. Appreciate your time again. It was great, sharing all the stories and listening, your feedback on all my questions. And I would like to invite everybody to follow us on LinkedIn and visit our website forthedigital.com about learning about all new features and innovations we're working on, not only Salesforce Commerce but all other different clouds. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks, Nadia. Thanks, Alex.
All right. See you guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.